This WS-B1000 cost me nearly $60. And some of you may be wondering, why would you pay nearly $60 for just a regular El Cheapo Casio watch? Well, this WS-B1000 has a step counter and Bluetooth connectivity. You see that right there? It says Bluetooth, and that right there is the graph of my steps that I took today. And it can relay the information to the Casio Watches app. So in many respects, it's like a G-Shock fitness watch, and this one cost $400, right? This is the GBDH-2000. But this WS-B1000 costs only $60, okay? And if you go to Amazon, it's already cost even less, $55, right? I'll leave a link below. But this watch, look at it. It looks just like a G-Shock watch that they just released, the GBD500. I bought this, all right? It cost $120 and it didn't fit, all right? It's a small watch. The band was too small. It wouldn't go around my wrist. My son Steve's wearing it now. But I got this WS-B1000, and even though it's a smaller watch, it did fit. I got it around my wrist. My wrist is, I think we said 8 3/4. I can't remember. 8 1/2. But look, it looks very similar to the GBD 500. Very similar in size. I'll make a comparison video when I get back home and show you the similarities and differences between the two of them. But I have been wearing this for the past few days, and I just want to give you guys a review because there's not a whole lot of information out there on this watch, and I think that it's going to be a winner. I think that a lot of guys are going to like this watch because you're getting into step counting. All right, I used to pish posh at step counting. I thought it was stupid when I first got the GBH 2000. Some guys were asking me about the step counter accuracy, and I was like, that's stupid. I mean, I'll answer the question. I didn't tell them it was stupid. Just because they were asking, I was like, I'll provide the information. But in my internal monologue, I was like, well, this is really dumb. Who cares about step counting? Well, I'm a step counter now. All right, 14,226. That's not accurate. There is one problem I encountered. But let me just highlight the positives first before I tell you that one problem, because you may not have the same problem that I do, leading to these huge inaccuracy. But anyways, the GBD H2000 has a heart rate monitor and everything, and a GPS, $400. This watch, the WS-B1000, just as a step counter, and it hooks up to your watch's app, okay? So Casio Watches app is the app that is used by your phone to connect to your watch. And you can see that I have the GBDH 2000 there, and it's actually trying to make a connection. So it just connected. But the WS-B 1000 will connect, and it will aggregate your fitness information into your My Page, okay? And so today it says I've taken 13,409 steps, and there's a discrepancy because it has to sync up. All right, the GBDH 2000, the other G-Shock watches, they sync up frequently. The WS-B 1000 does not have solar. It just has a regular battery. So it does not sync up that frequently. All right, there's like a schedule to how frequently it syncs up. But when it does, it will aggregate all of your step counting information into your what's called life log. Okay, and today I went to go try this out at the gym. My gym burnt down. Okay, I got there as the fire trucks are putting out the fire. I thought, oh, this is just a minor roof fire. Hopefully my gym will open up later on. It turns out it's a total loss. All right, Payne's Gym. I'm sorry. I mean, developing story. I don't have any other information, but it burnt down. And anyways, I did a walking workout, and so I walked for about 2 miles. Okay, or maybe it was a mile. I lost count of the laps. I walked around a pond. But anyways, that information has not been added in, right? So there's a discrepancy now. But what I was trying to say is, it would be cool if this app, you could initiate a workout that you could designate your steps to be for a workout, like the same way that we used trekking when we went to Pablo Durbo Canyon. Right, that's a trek. Did you guys watch that video where we went trekking? My son used the Range Man. Okay, I used the WS-B1000. My son was using the Range Man, and to test out the trekking. So this watch will count the steps. No exercises on the app, but it will hook up to the app. All right, now let's talk about these buttons, because I think that there's some Casio watches that have these cylindrical metal buttons, and they look cool, look distinctive. I don't like them a lot. All right, and it's because this metal, it's like a piston in a cylinder, right? The vector of your press has to be parallel to that cylinder, and if you're a little bit off, you might slip off, slip. You might not get a good press. It's kind of like on the Mudman GW9500, where you have to get a good direction on the press of the light button, But it's not as bad. I mean, but then there's one plastic button, okay? And this button, the mode button, when you press it, you don't have to get to be as spot on when you're pressing. Like, you can just kind of hit it. Maybe it makes it too easy to press that way. But I was pressing this button. I was like, I actually like this button better than the metal one. And then it hit me that maybe that's why there's 3 metal buttons and 1 plastic button. It's because on the GBD500, a lot of it has plastic buttons, and a lot of people are complaining, saying it's cheap and it's chintzy. Why not metal buttons? Well, this is Casio's way of showing us on one watch why these plastic buttons may be functionally better, right? Obviously, I think most guys would rather have metal buttons, so maybe they can work this out. But I do prefer these plastic buttons, like these metal ones. Even though they're metal, just the way that they stick out, it looks like like a Lost in Space robot or something. Anyways, there is one button on the front, lap reset. When you're on the main time, let me go back to the main time. You can alternate between showing the date at the bottom or your steps, okay? And when you go to the step screen, you have the graph at the top, and then you have these 2 little dots that is next to the seconds animation. And it's really difficult to see because it's in the shadow. It's easier to see in person. But I believe that when you're walking, those steps blink to indicate that it's reading your steps. Right? I haven't read the manual yet, right? So, but I really wanted to make a review because I just want to get the information out there about the WS-B1000. And so I'll make some more comprehensive reviews later on, and maybe a tutorial about how to hook it up, because it's not as easy as they make it sound to hook it up to your phone. So I'll make a tutorial. But anyways, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, that this animation is indicating that you're stepping. Now, you can turn on an alarm that will, if it senses that you haven't been stepping, that it will start beeping and remind you to step. You got to walk, okay? And so it does have every other basic watch function. And one thing that I really like to see is a really good stopwatch. I've not used it a whole lot, but I'm helping out coaching. And I think that it'll be really helpful with coaching, not only to time the 40-yard dash, but also I'm trying to teach the players to run their routes and make the throw in a certain amount of time, right? So we have to time from the snap to when the throw is made, in football. And so there's all this extensive information for hitting oops, press the wrong button. But there's a lot of information on the stopwatch that's actually stored there. Like a lot of good beeps when you start and stop, and then the split times are recorded. And then this information is kept in the watch, and you can review it, right? You can review it later on. And so I don't have all the details about how to scroll through that information, but like I said, this is a review video that's the emphasis is just speed and getting the information out there about this watch. I'll make a more extensive review later on. This is my experience so far with it. But I'm really happy to see a good stopwatch, because it just burns me up so bad that on these so-called fitness watches that the stopwatch is absolutely terrible. And the thing that I don't think Casio understands is that, like for coaches, right? Like you go to time something on this highly advanced $400 watch, and there's no fractions of a second, right? And it's very cumbersome and not well thought out. Well, I'm happy to say on the WS-B1000, it looks like a much better stopwatch. And so it looks like a good stopwatch for runners, especially track runners, because you can record the splits, for the laps and everything if you're running a race where you're running multiple laps. And there's a timer, I believe that goes to 24 hours, okay? So that too is better than this. Don't get me started on the timer. I've made so many rant videos. My longtime subscribers are going to roll their eyes and be like, all right, Jim, not again. Well, let me just briefly explain. The timer only goes to 60 minutes on this highly advanced, cutting-edge watch, which is a joke. And this timer, like I said, I believe it goes to 24 hours. I believe. The point is, it's actually a good timer. And there is a second time zone that you have to set, and the alarms. And you can set the alarms the old-fashioned way through the watch, right? Let me go back to alarms. Or you can you do that through the app, and I'll show you the app in a second. And so, oh yeah, I think some of you guys may have seen that. There's the hourly signal, all right? Where'd it go? There it is, hourly signal. So it'll beep on the hour. It will beep to remind you to step. And it has the different tones of the beeps when you get back to the home screen. So listen up. Shh, shh, listen. You hear that? So when you get back to the home screen, it has a higher pitched beep. And like I just showed you on the stopwatch, both starting and stopping have beeps, and you just heard that when you stop the stopwatch, there's a longer beep, right? So this is actually has good fitness features for runners or coaches or athletes, right? Now, I've always preferred a diminutive watch, right? This goes back to when I used to be a mover and used to have to carry items through door jams. If you're wearing a big watch, the watch is going to get caught up in the door jam, and it's likely to pop the pins off and break, right? So this watch is very diminutive, very thin. Let me hold it next to this beast, and you can see that it is a small watch. But the band is still long, which is a good thing. I wanted this watch, the G-Shock GBD500, to have a long band. They went short on the band. It's a short band. So small wristers shouldn't have a problem. But if you're well into the over 8 inches of wrist circumference, this G-Shock may be a problem. But as I showed you on my wrist, this goes out to goes over 8 inches pretty well, up to 8.5 at least. I don't have the exact membership for the measurement for the maximum wrist size, but it's diminutive and a long wristband, which is a rare combination. All right. So here it is, just for size comparison, next to the AE-1500. All right. It's thinner. It doesn't have those protruding crenellations, right? But the bezel does protect the screen just a little bit, and in the corners are notches for drainage. So that's a great combination. It's a great, this design is well thought out, okay? And this raised bezel is really important on a mineral glass watch because it will scratch, right? I found that out the hard way on this one, which is the MRQ100, that it has this mineral glass screen that's totally scratched up just from putting it face down. Right, and the bezel is lower than the glass. All right, you need scratch-proof glass if you want a watch that doesn't have a raised bezel. All right, and so there's a few colors of the WS-B1000, and I got the black, and it has these navy blue accents on a couple of the buttons. All right, now let me compare this to the WS-1700. Because this watch, there's just something about this watch, it just looks great. Everybody loved the way it looks. Maybe it's for those of us who are nostalgic for the 80s, but maybe it's just subtle. It's just, this watch looks terrific. And the WS-B1000 is kind of in the same vein, but it just doesn't have that burst of design detail that makes the WS-1700 so attractive, right? And it's pretty close. It's there, but I do like the way it looks. You'll notice that it has this insert in order to to kind of separate sections of the screen, right? But there's some distance between the LCD screen and it, so it does make a shadow, right? And so it's kind of weird, but overall, I think that it looks all right. I mean, the bezel is a little bit of a different color. It's kind of like, it looks brighter, maybe shinier. The bezel's kind of like gunmetal gray, and the watch is black, right? And there's 4 screws holding on the bezel. So that's just design features, okay? But talking about durability, which is very important on my channel because this is the beater watch vlog, I would say that for a cheapo Casio, I have confidence in this durability. You know, I've been wearing it to work, and I haven't been doing like a lot of really strenuous tasks that could potentially break the watch. But just, wrist flexation can burst watch pins. I've lost a lot of Casio calculator watches that way. And then the other way that burst watch pins are, like I said before, bumps to the side, like walking through a door jamb where you're carrying something, right? And the fact that this watch is so thin gives it an advantage right off the bat in the old door jamb challenge, because it's less likely to hit the door jamb, right? So if you get a big, thick watch like this G-Shock, you might be like, oh, this is so much tougher. Well, yeah, it needs to be. If it's that big off your wrist, it's going to be taking a lot of hits, right? And this is important. On a blue-collar beater watch, the pins are what breaks. And you look at this Bertucci, like these pins are welded on, right? This is the Bertucci A2S. And so, like, of all the watches that I have, the only ones that I'm worried about the pins are there's an analog one. Which one is it? I made a video called Not a Beater Watch about it, and a lot of people were telling me I'm crazy that the watch is durable. And I'm like pulling on it, saying that the pins aren't tough enough, right? The pins on this one, they do feel pretty tough. For an El Cheapo Casio, I'd say that it's durable enough, but it's a $60 El Cheapo Casio, right? Like the AE 1500 in the United States is only $22. And so this is more durable because the male ends of the strap are deeper into the lugs, right? And so this is really durable for an El Cheapo Casio. And you pay more for this one. And I'm not going to say it's not durable, but I don't, just having regular pins like that, give me pause, I'm testing the watch out. I am wearing it to work, but I think long term this won't be the one that I regularly wear to work. And if anybody's asking, the toughest watch that I have by far is the Mudman GW9500. This watch is for durability, I think it's amazing. Second to none. Well, I should say it's optimized for durability. This one, how much did it cost? $380? $320. I can't remember the exact price. So you could get tougher watches, but you'd be paying more. And that's the Mudman GW9500. I shill for this watch all the time, just because most guys, when you buy a G-Shock, you want durability. That's it right here. Now, this watch, I think, will appeal to a lot of guys who want the step counting features, and it's there. Okay, now I did have one problem, and that was when I was driving a truck, it somehow thought I was walking, and I believe it's because of the vibrations on the steering wheel. I drive a tractor trailer truck. It's a Western Star. The gross vehicle weight rating is very high on this vehicle. It's permitted load, and I drive off the road where it's really bumpy, and all of those things kind of add up to this watch thinking that I got to Sonora, Texas from Odessa in like 9,000 steps. All right, and so that was wrong. All right, and I made a TikTok video about that, or not TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Actually, I did put it on TikTok, but YouTube Shorts pointing that out, that that it picked up driving as walking. And I'm going to do more tests to see if it does the same thing on a pickup truck. And if it does, that would be a big problem. But if on a regular pickup truck or a car it does not pick up that driving as steps, I think you'll be all right. It may only be for truckers. Truckers may need to take this off while they drive, or just wear it while you drive and then like cheat on your fitness step counter thing. All right. Oops, I just dropped the watch I was reviewing. But anyways, I think that this is a great watch, and I would actually recommend it for anybody interested in an El Cheapo Casio that has a step counter, because it will aggregate the data of your steps to the Casio watch app for your life log. All right. And besides that, it's a very diminutive watch. It fits under the sleeve perfectly, and it has a good strap. Right. These El Cheapo Casio watches, the straps can get kind of stiff, and this is a little bit stiff, but not that bad. The only knock to its comfort is that the El Cheapo Casio watches have these notches to ratchet up the keeper, right? And this isn't that bad. Like some of them, it seems like they're worse than others in terms of being kind of scratchy underneath. Like I think this one's the worst in terms of being scratchy, but this one's not that bad. Okay, and for an El Cheapo Casio, it's kind of a supple band. All right. Oh, and there's all these holes, ventilation holes. Right. That's another thing that makes it good for a fitness watch. And some watches can be kind of stifling, and I will admit that at times the Mudman GW9500 can be stifling. You get a lot of sweat underneath, right? But the best watch, if you don't like stifling watches, the GBDH2000 is just amazing. This band is just unbelievable. The sweat management is great. I've made a whole video about the sweat management, and I talk about it a lot on the GBDH2000. But I did not find this watch to be stifling at all. Today I went out for a walk, and it was like brutally hot. The sun was beating down on me, and it hit me. It hit me hard. I walked into the grocery store, and I had to like buy an iced tea there right away because that heat made me thirsty. It was brutal. But anyways, this watch was not stifling. So I think this is a great watch, but the questions of the accuracy have yet to be determined in terms of the step counter. Okay. So I'll leave that up in the air for now. But like I said, a lot of guys are asking about this one, and a lot of guys want to know about it. So I kind of made this rushed review just to get this information out there. If there are any questions, leave them below, and we'll try to get to that. But, $60, maybe it's a little too much. All right. But it is at a discount from the GBD 500, which is $120. All right. I'll leave a link below to Amazon. Right now, I think it's like, what we say, $55. Who knows? Maybe it'll go lower. Right? If you could get this one for $40, buy it. Right? It's terrific. Even if you don't use a step counter, turn off the step counter. Look how thin that is. And then the width is very small. So it's like Tank's watch there, Cartier, that it's similar in width to the band. Right? And so the Casio WS-B1000, I'm liking it so far. I would recommend it. All right, gentlemen, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kincaid. Thanks for watching.